welcome to Create Expectations, the monthly podcast where we ramble on about record collecting. Today we've got a bonus episode for you. Off the back of Ep4 Live Wire, we were talking about our favourite live recordings. We had so much fun, we thought we'd dig into some of our favourite live music experiences. I'm Tom Mosh Kennedy. I'm joined by Dan Stage Dive Lozier, Chris Push Pit Palumbo, and Matt Crowd Surf Carvalho. Gentlemen, how are you?
All right.
Good. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. Real enthusiastic.
Okay. Everyone's really excited for this bonus ep, eh?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
So we shared our favourite live albums in the last episode, and off the back of that we thought, you know what, one thing we didn't talk about is our favourite live music experiences. There was a little bit of it in there, but I just want to do real quick fire, one at a time. Let's talk about first gig, last gig you went to pre-pandemic, the first gig you've been to since things have opened back up, and then the best gig you've ever been to. Dan, Stage Dive Lozier, you want to lead us off?
Oh my god. I mean, there are a lot of gigs that I don't remember for various reasons. So I guess, okay, first gig. I mean, I honestly don't remember what my first gig was, but I'll kind of take a different route on this and just talk about the first live music experiences I had. Well, basically, like as a kid, there was a venue called The Dungeon in my hometown.
Nice.
And it was a pretty ratty place.
Wow.
The Oshawa Dungeon.
The Oshawa Dungeon, and a lot of punk bands played there. A lot of metal bands played there, and it was pretty seedy. But I just remember being a young teenager, going there. Sometimes you'd see some of your friends' bands play, and seeing some pretty rough crowds. But that's kind of where live music started for me, and just the love for playing music, the love for just being around people who love music, and it kind of just sort of set everything off for me in terms of where my life's gone with music. So big shout out to The Dungeon. I don't actually think it exists anymore. It must have gone shut down. There was a lot of crazy shit that happened there.
Was it a basement?
Wow. It was a basement, yeah. It was, you had to walk down these stairs, and it's like classic, like graffiti everywhere, stickers everywhere. The washrooms were disgusting. It was a pit. And,
was it right downtown?
Yeah, right downtown, right by the armories.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, that's right. Kind of I guess that's the first gig I had ever been to was at the Dungeon. I couldn't even tell you the band that played. It was a dog shit metal band.
Make up a name.
Dog shit punk band. The Hammerheads. I don't know. Fuck.
Nice.
Wow.
Johnny and the Glue Sniffers.
Basically, yeah. Yeah. Okay, so what's the next one? What's the next one that we're doing? The last gig we did before the pandemic?
Pre-pandemic.
Oh, I think the last gig that I went to pre-pandemic was I saw Andrew Bird at the Danforth Music Hall.
Sweet.
And Alina, my wife, is a huge Andrew Bird fan, and I'm an Andrew Bird fan kind of in passing. I'm not like actively putting on any of his albums on Spotify to listen to, but obviously anytime I hear one of his songs come up, I love his music. So she suggested that we should go see him, and the way he puts on a show, it's so well done. The production value is just so high. For those who don't really know Andrew Bird as a musician, he's a violinist, but he's really good at playing the violin by plucking the strings as opposed to using a bow. He obviously uses a bow quite often in his music, but it's his style of plucking the violin that's so unique. Plus, the whole Andrew Bird thing, he's an amazing whistler, so there's a lot of whistling in his music.
Wow.
But the whole show itself had a lot of artistic visuals in the background.
Nice.
And I thought it was a really, really well done show. So I had a great time at that, and it actually boosted my love for him and my wanting to listen to even more music. of his after I saw that. So, big shout out to Alina for getting me to like Andrew Bird even more.
You do often get that where you're not quite into a band and then you see them live and you get a different appreciation and then you're chasing their discography.
Absolutely, right? Like, yeah, I could recognize a few dozen of Andrew Bird's songs, but couldn't name them for you, right? But then you go to see his show and you see the songs that he's playing on that tour, and it's like, wow, I need to listen to that whole album to really appreciate what I just listened to, what I saw.
Nice. And then you've been to a gig since things have opened up?
Yeah, so the first gig that I went to was it was at the Wheat and Sheaf in Toronto. Finally, things had kind of opened up here in the city, and we went to go see a kind of a local band that Alina and I are both fans at. They play often at one of our favorite venues in the city called Cameron House. And so we saw that they were playing at the Wheat Sheaf, and so they're Bad Luck Woman. Just kind of they play a lot of rockabilly stuff, a lot of old country, a lot of like just pure rock and roll, blues rock kind of stuff. The front woman can just belt a tune. She's such a great singer. So they're just a really fun kind of, I don't want to call it pub rock because they're not actually pub rock, but it's just a great band to see when you want to be at a bar, hang out with friends. So we went to go see them with a couple of our friends, and again, they knocked it out of the park. And it's amazing because the front woman she's pregnant at the time, so she's sitting on a stool.
Oh wow!
Just smashing the bass.
Wow.
And belting her heart out. And so that was good. It was really fun to kind of get out there, see live music again, feel comfortable with it, and so that was the most recent gig I've been to. Nice. Actually, that's not true. I've been to a few other gigs since then, but that was the first after things had opened up.
Nice. Sounds fun.
Yeah.
And then, this isn't a difficult question at all. The best gig you've ever been to?
This actually wasn't hard for me to answer. We talked about this in the live album episode, but Massey Hall is easily my favorite venue in the city. And I've seen Fleet Foxes at Massey Hall twice.
Wow.
The first time I saw them play was after they'd released Helplessness Blues, which is one of my favorite albums. And, they had come off of their first self-titled album, which was a hit. And the second one, they came out with a bit more of a complete band. But you still ended up getting kind of them playing the full album, but also playing some of their earlier songs. But then you also ended up getting Robin Pecknell, the lead singer, play by himself on guitar, which is kind of like such a classic Fleet Foxes sound. And I don't think any venue in the city other than Massey Hall can perfectly encapsulate a singer and one instrument playing than at Massey Hall, because not only do I think it has good acoustics in most of the venue. I mean, I know Massey Hall has terrible acoustics in some of the sections. They have really boomy areas on the sides. But if you're seated in the right spot, and when you have that many people in a venue, you just have that. And when everyone's really quiet, and just listen to someone on their guitar just sing such intimate songs. I mean, that to me, I don't think any other concert experience can really top that. So
wow.
Nice.
That's probably the best gig I've ever been to.
Nice. Dan. Chris, you're being awful quiet there. We might jump to you next. Tell us what you got. First gig, last pre-pandemic, first since opening up, and your best gig.
All right, I'll keep it short and sweet. I'm waiting for maybe the tequila to hit me a bit to get a little chatty. There you go. Thumbs up from Matt on that one.
Yeah.
First gig, I was saying earlier, I've been to a bunch of shows, but the one that I remember first is my parents took me to Ottawa for Canada Day weekend, and I remember seeing, probably wasn't the Guess Who, it was probably Burton Cummings, and I remember standing there in like it's on Parliament Hill, which was really cool. The stage is set up, and just like the Guess Who, just like, or Burton Cummings or Randy Bachman, one of the two, just belting out like American Woman and like classic like can rock jams, and that's like the first memory I have of like going to a concert with like hundreds of people and not just like at a tiny little venue of in like a pub listening to like Shania Twain or like the Fake Street Boys or something that. Yeah, like an actual, or Sesame Street that Bev took me to when I was like 4, but an actual like rock venue.
That sent you on your can rock journey.
I think it did. Yeah,
What started it all?
Yeah,
Canada
thanks Burton
Day.
Cummings.
But there's honestly nothing like Ottawa on Canada Day. And Chris, I have an uncle who lives in Ottawa, and I used to basically spend almost every Canada Day until I was a teenager in Ottawa, and the grandstand on Parliament Hill that they have can rock, they have Canadian artists playing from morning till night.
There was
That's cool.
I was trying to like
It's
it was
amazing.
coming back to me.
Big
and there was
acts,
this
too.
French Canadian singer that everyone seemed to know, and he only
Voisin,
sang in
I'm sure.
French. And he was so good on acoustic and just like killed it. And I remember sitting there and like not understanding the language at all and just being like, man, this guy is awesome.
I'll bet you $1,000 it was Rock Voisin.
Okay, but hey, well, we'll look him up and see if
Big Quebecer. He's not as big as Denis Lausier, but
I was just gonna say maybe it was
he's a
him.
big Denis.
Maybe
What's
it was
Denis?
Denis Lausier.
Lausier. Yeah, I remember, and I remember there was more, but that was the one that stood out to me the most. Yeah. So, Tom, next question again. Sorry.
The last gig pre-pandemic.
The last gig, I was supposed to go to Dan Mangan the day they shut everything down in Ontario. Lee was pregnant at the time, so we didn't take the risk, and he put on a show. He did stream some of it, so we watched a little bit online, but that didn't count, and I was real upset because I really wanted to see him. Greg Hood dragged me and all of us to a band called The Dirty Nil, and I don't know, they're a Canadian band out of Hamilton, and I was not excited to go because I was like, oh, this band's okay. Live, going back to kind of what Lozia said, live, these guys put on a crazy show. They're kind of like riff rock, punk rock, kind of like, it's like Hamilton, I call it like Hamilton music. It's kind of like that dirty guitars, lots of screaming. Yeah, like, and it was fun, man, and they got a mosh pit going, the crowd was super into it, and I remember coming out of that and being like, oh, I'm a Dirty Nil fan. I had my jean jacket on, like, I have my, like, cut-off punk jean jacket, so I made sure to put a Dirty Nil patch on there for that concert.
Nice.
Right? I still need to pick up one of their vinyls, and they put out a new album that sounds exactly the same as their other album, so they're one of the bands that I was kind of disappointed in their transition. Like, every song sounds the same. Lee literally makes the joke every time a Dirty Nil song goes on. She's like, "This is your favorite song." 'Cause it doesn't matter what the song is; it sounds the exact same.
That's
So,
classic.
yeah, so that was pretty funny.
And
So yeah,
you guys have been to a gig since, yeah? Since everything's opened up?
yeah. So actually, I was supposed to go to Matt's house for a barbecue, and then one of the kids in my school got COVID, so I couldn't get there. And Big Rec put out a surprise show that day, so me and Lee skipped over to that, and it was like free in the park. It was like spaced out, and it was pretty awesome. And it was Ian Thornley was sick though, so his voice didn't sound amazing, but they had their original drummer and guitarist step in, and it was like we were blown away by the Big Rec putting that on, which is exciting because I know me and Matt are going to Big Rec in
wait.
December.
Yeah, December 9th,
December.
I think?
Yeah, so it was like a pre-show to that, and they put out a couple new songs, so that was pretty sweet.
That's a good
Nice.
throwback
And-
too, because he was your pick for greatest singer, wasn't he? In that hot take.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
was.
he was.
Right,
He
yeah.
was, and then he let me down. He was sick. He said on the stage, he's like, "I'm sorry, I'm not feeling well." And we're like, "You can't say that in the modern age. Don't admit to that. You're gonna get the whole
No, you
concert
can't.
shut down." Yeah, the whole concert's gonna get shut down.
And then best gig of all time.
Okay. This was a tricky one for me. I have two that really, really stand out, and I'm gonna pick this one because it connects me to Lozier. We went to an early Mumford and Sons concert at the Docks.
That's way up there for me too, Chris.
Yeah, actually, both of my favorite shows happened at the Docks.
It was at Sound Academy.
Sorry, that you were yes,
at
Docks.
At the Docks.
Yeah. Sorry, Sound Academy, now called something else, I think. But yeah, it was when Mumford and Sons they were already big overseas, and they became big here. And I just remember we just so excited. The crowd sang them back on stage, and they just kind of like stood there basking in it.
Chris, it was when we're trying to get them to do an encore, and we're all stomping.
Encore, yeah.
And then the crowd was going. The whole crowd together was going.
And I just remember,
and that was us.
Wow.
Instead of us saying encore, it was us singing that. That brought them back onto the stage, and
That's
like
amazing.
I get shivers thinking about that.
Yeah.
It was
That's
just
epic.
so awesome.
and I remember the crowd wasn't moshing, but there was like this steady like jumping wave that happened.
Single
and it was
organism.
really, yeah,
Chris,
and it was really
that is 100% up there for me too, man.
Yeah,
Nice.
it was really. It was the first time, especially in Toronto, and I always complain about Toronto shows, and I try to avoid them. That the crowds aren't, or
They
at
don't show
least in some of
respect.
them, they're not enjoyable sometimes.
100%,
And that was the
man.
first time I felt that kind of unity, and which is why it's up there. Same with the other show, which was actually a Goldfinger show I saw with my buddy Steve, and the crowd was super into it, and that's what made the show. Those both my picks for best concerts are because the crowd put the energy in, and the band just pumped it right
Gives
back
it
out
back.
there.
100%.
Yeah.
You gotta
Yeah.
be
And that's-
vibing.
For sure.
Yeah, and so yeah, those are my choices. I'm just so, guys, I lost my mind that I could see live music again. That's it.
Oh,
That's
man,
all I
me
care
too.
about.
It's craving it.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I picked up a vinyl from off my list. I wanted to get the Big Wreck album, and they had it at the booth, so that was also pretty lucky as well. So
Nice.
pretty stoked. There we go. That's my
Awesome.
choices. All right, I
Tom,
can do it.
you host a little bit too much here. Okay, I feel like you're stealing the podcast. But how about you tell us about your first gig?
Thank you, Daniel. I know some of you guys said like you don't really know your exact first gig, or it's more vague as to like a venue or an experience. But for me, like I vividly remember the first gig I went to. It was a festival called Surf Skate Slam in Maroubra in Sydney. We drove up.
Interest already.
We drove up from my hometown, which is about 3 hours away, Dad and I. It cost $11 a ticket,
Nice.
Wow.
and the headliner was Silverchair.
Oh
Beautiful.
wow.
And
Awesome.
man, and there were also like some other Australian bands that Chris would be familiar with, like Frenzal Rhomb and Grinspoon were also on the billing. I've looked it
Nice.
up multiple times since. Like, it was an awesome lineup of bands. I think I spent most of the gig on Dad's shoulders. We were like right in the mosh for this festival.
Your dad's moshing you with you on your shoulders.
That's amazing.
That's a good view. Yeah.
That's amazing.
So I could see,
Yeah.
because I was 11, so like I
dad's a
couldn't
legend.
see over the mosh. So he would, and I just remember seeing Silverchair and being like, okay, I'm a massive Silverchair fan, and we ended up seeing them like every time they toured. We would go and see them, and they went from playing this tiny festival that cost $11 to playing like theaters in Australia. And we would, for years, we would see them every time they toured.
Awesome.
And I've said before, like Frog Stomp was one of the first albums I owned. So that was really cool. So that was my first live music experience. My last...
I love how yours is with your dad. I love that. Like,
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, like, your parents influence your taste in music. And,
Big time.
Both my parents have great taste in music, and that kind of always... What was on the shelf, what CDs were on the shelf, always sort of steered my education.
Which parent has better taste in music, though?
Ah...
You gonna say it?
No, I don't
gotta
know.
say my dad for sure. My mom loves Celine Dion and Shania Twain.
My mom
Who doesn't love Celine
which
Dion?
is great. But my dad was into Floyd and Zeppelin and the Rolling
Yeah,
Stones.
same.
You know.
I would say that my dad got me into like Nirvana and Silverchair and classic rock, and then my mum actually expanded my horizons in terms of telling me to listen to Graham Parsons, telling me to listen to the Byrds, telling me to listen to.
Oh, okay.
Well, actually, Zeppelin was mum. Like Zeppelin 2 is her favorite album of all time.
Oh, wow.
So,
Nice.
yeah, like they both got a
Nice.
great taste in music. So, very fortunate.
Oh, okay. Oh, there you go.
And
avoid
then I went to a
answering
couple
the
of
question.
gigs. Sorry.
No, I said avoid answering the question. Good call.
But Chris, I feel
Very
like you need,
political.
I feel like you need to answer it now because I know.
Yeah,
I know John and
100%.
Bev listen. So let's put you on the
Oh,
spot.
John and Bev love it. Well,
Let's
Bev's
put
a
you on the
Bowie
spot.
fan. Yo, Bev loves Bowie, and Dad loves Meatloaf. John Palumbo's a huge Meatloaf fan.
Okay,
So
your
Bev
mom-
has
your
better
mom
taste.
wins.
I'll
Your
leave it up
mom
to
wins,
the
your mom
audience.
wins.
Those are both solid choices.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. My
Meatloaf
dad.
is great. Fuck it.
If I have to choose between Bowie and Meatloaf, I mean,
I'm going Bowie.
that's a rhetorical question.
Hey, huge shout out to John, the fifth groovy guy. Okay.
100%.
Yeah.
John's the
John, you're
man.
our biggest fan. Thank you for listening. Thanks for all the love.
Yeah, you
But
really
I
champion
think
us.
Bev may have the better taste in music.
Yeah. He's gonna stop buying me vinyl now. He's been calling me on his lunch break. The other week, he found some Curtis Mayfield and some Newfie music.
Love it.
He calls me. He's like, "Hey, this says Dave McClain on the back. Is that related to Lee?" I was like, "Yeah, that's Lee's great uncle." And he's like, "Oh, I'm picking this up. Sweet."
That's
Amazing.
cool.
Yeah.
That's really
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So my last gig pre-pandemic, similar to you, Chris, I actually had the week that everything shut down. Dad and I were going to see the Pixies at a new venue up here in Brisbane, Fortitude Valley Music Hall, and they canned it like
Oh,
2 days before the gig. They canned it, which was devastating because I haven't seen them live, and they're like such an awesome band. But everyone has had that experience, unfortunately. So I saw two in really quick succession months before the pandemic. I saw the Prodigy at River Stage in Brisbane, and it was shortly before Keith passed away. And I'm so thankful. I'd seen them before at a festival, and I didn't enjoy it as much because it was in such a massive sea of people. Like, I didn't feel that close to the band, and then I saw them at River Stage, which is a smaller venue, and I was like right there. And that was a phenomenal gig. And then I saw this total contrast to that. This band, a local band up here called the Honey Sliders, they do these gigs where they just play a classic album in its entirety. And they were
cool.
with Tim Rogers, who's an Australian, quite a well-known in Australia musician, and they did Let It Bleed from start to finish, and it was phenomenal.
amazing.
So good. So I had some good memories to get me through the pandemic, and then when things opened back up here, my first gig out of it, I've talked about this before, was King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, and
That's
man,
right,
it was
yeah.
good.
Nice.
Yeah,
And
you were
that's-
throwing that in our faces when we were in lockdown.
Yeah, he was.
Oh,
Yeah.
so
we were talking
jealous.
about how you're going to a live show.
Joe. Oh.
He's like,
So
how-
jealous.
It must be nice, Tom. Must be nice.
Well, it must be nice. F you.
I'm happy for you.
Yeah.
But also,
that sounds so
shut up.
genuine.
But I talk about King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard a lot on this. I feel like I name drop them every episode. But that was one of those occasions where I knew them and I liked them, but I wasn't like an avid fan. And then I saw them live, and I think the next day I bought like 3 of their albums on vinyl.
That's awesome.
Sweet. Yep.
I mean, they would have to be on the Mount Rushmore of best band names, I would say.
Oh,
yeah,
it's good,
for
isn't
sure.
it?
It is a good one. Yeah.
It's so wacky.
Yeah.
Just like the whole way they put it together, the whole lore around everything. Tom, you
Yeah.
talked about it before, but
So
yeah, that's
cool.
it. Yeah, they've done an excellent. Whoever their marketing team is, good stuff.
It's just them.
Yeah.
It's Stu McKenzie, the band leader. He's just this brainiac, wacky dude that loves like science fiction and all, you know, like he just thinks on a different level. I would love to have him on the pod at some point. Shout out to Stu McKenzie.
Okay. Bring him on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I'd just love to pick his brain. And then the best gig that I've ever been to, this is a tough one because, like, man, I've so many come to mind that I just absolutely love the experience. But for the reason that these guys are probably my favourite band, and because I went with Dad, it would be seeing Black Sabbath on one of their last tours.
Nice.
That was it wasn't the whole band. Bill Ward didn't tour with them, but seeing Ozzy and Geezer and Tony on stage, and if you like, I did a couple times. I just closed my eyes and just listened, and you couldn't tell they were old men. Like it sounded like they were in their prime.
Well, it's honestly amazing. Like knowing what Ozzy's gone through with drug abuse and alcohol abuse in the last few decades. I remember hearing him as a feature on a Post Malone song, and I'm like, oh my God, this guy can still sing. And this is like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, and then when he's not recording, you know, he can hardly understand what he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it's just like I don't know if it's muscle memory or
He's just a
having done
born
it so
frontman.
much. Absolutely.
He can turn it on when he needs to.
Yeah.
He is a gripping frontman. Like there were times during it where you could hear a pin drop because they weren't playing and he was about to say something and everyone was like, "What's Ozzy gonna say?"
That's gotta be awesome. That's awesome, man.
It was it was so good.
Yeah,
And
to see Sabbath, that's awesome.
they're probably my all-time favorite band. So to see them and to hear War Pigs live, to hear Paranoid live, like it's giving me it's giving me chills. And then a similar era, seeing Robert Plant live a couple of years ago at Blues Fest, for the same, you know, just because of, you know, the high position that we hold Zeppelin in, you know, as the gods of rock.
Well, except for Chris.
Yeah, Chris doesn't really.
Except for Chris, yeah.
You could.
Chris,
I would see him at Blues Fest. Though.
Chris
That'd be
Dad
sweet.
Rock Palumbo.
It won that poll.
But
Zeppelin's Dad
draw.
Rock.
It was a draw, and there is no record of it. So
Not when I screenshotted it. Oh, the phone broke, and I don't have proof anymore.
So,
Damn phone.
yeah. Plant would be a close second. He was awesome. Like since I've been loving you, just
Oh God, that
Chef
song
kiss.
is just so special.
So that's me, Matthew. What do you got
All right,
for
boys.
us?
You guys are going to have fun with this one, I'm sure. So when I was a young kid, as you know, like one of my favorite bands to listen to growing up was Hanson. Another one of those was Backstreet Boys. And I remember being, I think it was 8 or 9 years old. My first concert ever was going to Skydome to go see them. And then we went the following year when they came back with the second album. It was me and my younger brother. My younger brother was like huge into them. And I think that's probably more the reason we went. Like I was into the music, I liked it, but he knew the dance moves, he knew everything.
That's
like,
amazing.
Oh yeah, like do you guys remember at Wonderland how they used to have that video studio?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So we did a couple of those. We did one of Hanson playing instruments, and then we did a Backstreet Boys one. And my brother is going hardcore, doing all the all the dance moves, and he was loving life. So I think that's primarily why we went to the shows. It was a great show. We had a good time. I remember my ears afterwards just ringing like crazy from, girls screaming like crazy.
I'm super jealous.
Me. It was me, my younger brother, and then my mom who took us, and we had a great time. It's a lot of fun. That was the first one. The last one I went to before the pandemic hit was The Strokes.
Nice.
It was right in the
nice.
middle of the Raptors chasing their first title. And it was funny because Julian was talking about how they wanted to go to the show, wanted to go to the game, and how they showed up really, really late because it was in the fourth quarter. They weren't allowing anybody else into the building. Anyways, really great show. I felt like
Where did you see the Strokes?
I saw them at Bud Stage.
Okay.
Nice.
Molson Canadian Anthem. I know. I know they
Bud.
changed the name.
Yeah, Budweiser.
So it was a really, really good show. But I found like near the end, it might have been getting a little sloppy. But great show. One thing that I didn't like about it though, and this is just me personally, they didn't play anything off of Angles. Not one song. They kind of acted like that album didn't exist. And I think that's a great album. Some of my favorite Strokes songs are off that album. So that to me kind of sucked, but overall, great show. Like, they played all their big tunes and a couple of new ones, if memory serves me right. And I haven't been to anything since. The newest show I'll be going to will be the one with Chris. We go to see Big Wreck in December.
Nice. That's
Perfect.
awesome. You guys
Yeah.
get to go to a gig together.
Yeah, I'm
we're
really
gonna go
excited.
digging. We're gonna go digging beforehand.
Yes.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lozia, you can come meet us.
I was gonna
up
say,
for
Dan, we gotta
digs
get
and
out
dig-
for a
digs
dig
and
too,
dinner?
and maybe that night that we're going out, or if we show up a little beforehand, we can all go for a dig, all three of us.
Wait, the show's
Yeah.
in Toronto?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's at Drake's new
Oh.
place.
Man,
I invited you.
Can you guys
Yeah.
zoom me in?
I don't know about that.
I did. It was on the chat.
I don't know. I wouldn't have wanted to go to a Big Rec show, but
Yeah, it's a little pricey.
Zoom me
yeah,
into
let's
the
go.
dig.
Let's go digging.
Oh yeah. We'll zoom you in, Tom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Pick
it'll be 4 in the morning.
Pick something nice for me.
Okay. Yeah, for
I
sure.
got Matt.
That's exciting,
Tom,
Matt.
I've got that Saskadelphia record just sitting right here for you. As soon as you
Okay,
come back
can
to
we
Canada.
Can we talk about that record for a second? Have you listened
Let's
to
do
it?
I have.
It's so short. Like,
Well,
I
it's just
wish-
like it's a bunch of like B-sides from their first
it is,
album.
which I really like. Don't get me wrong, but I wish. I guess that I'm being selfish. I like how there's I think the songs of Montreal or Montreal is live. I wish they just threw a couple more, like
How long is
live
it?
to fit. It's
6
it's
tracks.
Like, yeah, it's 3 aside and they're quick.
So what, like
you
20
feel
minutes?
Yeah, I feel like you've put it on, you set it up, you go do what you have to do, and then halfway through doing anything, you're going back to flip it again. Yeah, I don't know. I wish it had a little more or something, just like another live track
For
on
the
it.
price of it, absolutely.
Yeah, it was a little pricey. I was a little
Yeah.
disappointed, not gonna lie. Super stoked.
Absolutely.
There's a good.
I listened to it a bunch on Spotify, but on vinyl, it's not. It wasn't. Yeah, I wasn't satisfied. Will you say?
There's a
Yeah,
good
fair enough.
new history. What's that podcast called? History of New Music.
History of New
Music.
Music.
There's a good episode on Fully Completely on there.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Nice.
it's really interesting.
Do you know
Yeah.
their guys? They're putting out a deluxe of Road Apples. Deluxe.
I did
vinyl
see that.
package.
Oh,
I
I think it's
almost pulled the
5
trigger.
LPs.
oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a deluxe, and then there's just the reissue. I think.
Yeah.
I want to get an OG of Fully Completely. I know. I feel like I need that in my collection.
That'd be hard to find, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, they go for a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're.
Maybe I'll just buy a reissue.
Good luck.
Yeah, because
Just
I
buy a
remember a
reissue.
few years back, there's one dude I was talking to, a friend of a friend, so to speak. He was trying to get all the OGs, and he said he couldn't find one for under $250.
Oh,
Yeah. Whew.
I'm not surprised.
Sounds like I'm getting.
Yeah,
a
I mean,
reissue.
either.
Yeah,
I know.
because
it
you can
wasn't
get the
cool to put
reissue
them
for
out.
$30.
Yeah, just do that. All right.
Okay, guys, we're getting sidetracked here. We need
Sorry,
to hear
can we-
best,
can we
best
wrap-
gig from
Oh,
Matt.
best gig.
Oh,
Sorry,
sorry. Yeah.
that's my bad.
We digress.
So this is kind of a hard one to choose between. It would probably come down to 3. One I already spoke about in the last episode of the podcast, that Green Day show. That was cool because, again, got to hop up on stage for a few minutes. Another one that comes
that's
to
hard
mind.
top, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that one might take the cake just because of that experience alone. But from a whole other different perspective, there's 2 more that come to mind. One is seeing Muse at Lollapalooza when they were one of the headliners. I think it was 2012. the set list that they played for that show was amazing. I got so excited because they were playing Citizen Erase, and that's one of my favorite songs by them. Was super pumped. We had a great time at that show. And then the other one that comes to mind is seeing Eminem and Jay-Z perform in Detroit. They did a home and home concert series.
That would be cool. That would be really cool.
It was so cool. So me and one of my friends went, and
what year was that?
That was 2010. It was September 3rd, 2010. We drove up. We spent actually, we only showed up for the show. We got there around 7. Jay-Z came out first, obviously. Then Eminem performed. He brought out Dr. Dre, 50 Cent, G-Unit, all these guys.
What?
It was an amazing
Cool.
show. Oh, yeah. It was crazy. And it went super late, which was fun. But what was interesting was I was moving to London the next day. So we left that show, got back to London, I think it was 2:30 in the morning, and then I drove back to Cambridge and got home at 4. It was a long day the next day. But that show was incredible. I was really, really lucky to get tickets. I didn't think I was going to get them, but I went on when they went on sale, but just by sheer luck, I got them. And it worked out well.
I gotta say, like, to jump back to Muse, I mean, I've never seen them live, but I've seen a lot of their live shows on YouTube, and that must have been amazing because what they end up doing for the entire production value. Some people have told me it was some of the best concerts they've ever been to.
Yeah,
easily.
100%. They are a live band. I've said this to many people, and I think we've even talked about this in the group. A lot of their live recordings and their live shows are their best material. Like, they sound good in the studio, but to really appreciate them as a band, you got to see them live. They are incredible. The production value is amazing. Their performance as a band, it's only 4 guys. It's them and one other guy that they bring on tour with them. It's amazing.
They just have such a big sound. Like, you
For
feel like
4
you have to
piece
see them in a
on
stadium.
tour, yeah.
Yeah.
I literally stole the words out of my mouth.
Sorry, Dan.
We said it at the same time.
Matt, was that the tour they did, like, the drones?
No, it was a tour before that.
There was also one, they had the wristbands. I saw it online, and they all, like, lit up different colors.
Yeah.
That was the first time. Yeah, that's what I was showing. I was like, that was the first time I ever, like, saw anything like that. And it was like I remember watching a video, and the whole stadium, there's like a wave of, like, colors going by, and I was like, how did they do that? And I think it was Brian Santos who was he's a huge Muse fan.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, they had, like, these wristbands, and they had these drones, and he was like, it was the coolest thing in the world. And I was like, that's, like, next level.
Yeah.
AC/DC at the Rogers Centre, they sell those devil horns that light up. Mm-hmm. They're, like, red, and I don't know how many they must have sold like 30,000 of those things because that's all you could see. Like, there would have been probably 50,000 people at this gig, right? Akadaka at the Rogers Centre. Yeah. And all you could see was these red devil horns.
That's cool.
That's funny.
That's awesome.
They'd be right up there as well, actually. They would, man.
Yeah.
And they're another band that, like, they have their routine down. They're meant to be seen. Big stage, big props.
That's what got me into AC/DC. That's SARS Fest.
Yeah.
I saw them. I saw them in the Stones. Yeah. They knocked the Stones out of the park, and you're just like...
That was a crazy lineup.
Oh, it was insane.
Has anybody seen the Stones live?
Yeah, I saw them at the SARS Fest.
What'd you think?
They weren't great, but, like, again, they were the last one. Were they fun? Yes, they were good, but AC/DC played such a great show that, like, you couldn't follow it. It didn't matter if the Stones could have been, like, perfect, and you still weren't touching them. It was that crazy of a show.
Did you throw a water bottle at Justin Timberlake?
I didn't. I'm a big I like JT. I know. No. I was real upset. I know Matt doesn't. I was kind of upset with the Canadian fans on that one. I was like,
see, Matt's a Backstreet Boys fan. He's not an NSYNC fan.
That's why. Yeah, that's why. Matt, we're gonna need that footage of your brother dancing for the Instagram account.
Honestly, so we have that on VHS somewhere. Someone in the family has that. If I can find it, I will put it up.
I've got
Perfect. We're gonna use that as promotion.
I've got that same sort of a video of my cousins and my older brother. I was too young at the time, so I couldn't go. But we our whole family went to Wonderland, and
Nice.
it's like 4 or 5 of them dancing to Ice Ice Baby.
Oh,
That's amazing. That's good.
amazing.
And at one point, my cousin Leanne, she's like doesn't want to dance anymore, so she just sits on the ground. The video is like her just sitting on the ground, and then like my brother is like straight face dancing the whole time. Like,
That's amazing.
yeah, it's
That Wonderland
it's a family
studio was so
heirloom.
fun back in the day.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's fun. All right, I want to end it on this. Worst gig, just quickly, worst show you ever went to. What do you know?
I know that.
This is easy for me, okay? And this gig could have easily actually been the best gig I'd ever been to. And it started off like it was about to be the best gig I'd ever been to. When I saw Frank Ocean at Way Home.
Oh.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, okay.
We had really great seats. Our friend was lucky enough to get us some VIP seats to that festival, and so we had really great spot to see it. And we had heard stories that apparently Frank Ocean was being a big drama queen about how the stage was supposed to be set up. He needed to be this way, needed to be that way, and they had to rebuild the stage like 2 or 3 times before he even showed up. And so and you know what, like the whole day was okay. Like I didn't really see a lot of great acts that day. It was so, but you know, I was pretty excited to see Frank Ocean. And the show finally starts, and it just turns into like this super intimate experience. And there's lots of crazy video screens. There's someone walking around filming him while he's playing, and that's what's playing on the screens. And it's just like he's just singing perfectly. Everything's going to
Frank
plan.
Ocean. Yeah.
All of a sudden, he makes a mistake that I don't notice. You guys probably wouldn't notice. No one would really notice, but obviously Frank Ocean notices it, and he goes, "No, I gotta. Sorry. I gotta restart. So he restarts the song. So he just like literally played like 2 minutes of the song, makes a mistake, and then had to restart. And I was like, I was like, man, that first 2 minutes was like the best thing I'd ever heard in my life. And then he had to restart, and he did that twice.
What?
Whoa. On the same song?
On it, I don't know if it was the same song or on a different song, but like I just looked at Alina, I was like, let's get the hell out of here. Like I don't want to sit. Yeah. I don't want to sit through this. Like this guy is just being ridiculous, and it was a complete flop, absolute flop. Wow. And he headlined the whole festival. It was like Sunday night at Way Home. Frank Ocean.
Is that why the festival
started off
collapsed?
amazing, but absolutely flopped?
I've had that experience once at a show. We went to go see Kings of Leon. This was right around the time when there was all those rumors going around where Caleb was just going crazy with the drink and everything like that. And they did the same thing. They were playing fans and actually restarted the song after about 30 seconds. And I was like, I've never seen that happen at a show before. And then even for the encore, there was like normally a band always comes back for an encore. You don't really question it. There was a large gap of time that went by where like, are they coming back out? Like, what's going on here? This is a little uncomfortable.
That's amazing. They made you earn it. They came back though, right?
They did come back, but I think at almost 20 minutes went by, and we're like, oh, maybe they're not coming back.
Oh wow!
Wow.
Yeah.
20 minutes.
Yeah, that's fine.
It was a long period of time.
Yeah. So that was the worst, Matt, for you? The Kings of Leon?
No, my worst was CeeLo Green at Lollapalooza. I don't know what was going on, because this was the time. What was his big hit back in the 2010s?
Forget You.
Fuck You, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Around this time, he was like, that song was out, and that was a huge single for him. So he was right before the main headliner, which was Eminem. And for whatever reason, the show was just not great. He almost like reveled in it. Like he's almost like, oh, you guys aren't really here to see me. You're just waiting for Eminem to come out. Like it's almost like he did it on purpose. It was really, really bad.
It's like, dude, you're right. We're here for Eminem, but like,
Yeah, put on a
Yeah,
show.
I'm still
Get some
listening.
it
fans.
was really weird. It was so bad. Like me, my
Self-deprecating.
brother, and his wife were all like, "What is this guy doing? Like this is horrible."
That's awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really awkward. So, anyways, and it probably sucked even more because we were like right at the front. We were expecting at least a decent show, and it just didn't go well.
That's
so
funny.
that was my worst.
Oh man.
wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's brutal.
Yeah, I was there at Bonnaroo for the Kanye like meltdown.
Oh,
That was-
I gotta hear this.
Yeah,
That
let's
was
hear
pretty-
it.
That was pretty bad. Like, and again, Lozier, it's kind of similar story. Yeah, it started off. He was playing his songs, and then he go halfway through. I can't remember what it was, but like halfway through one of his songs, he was just like, hold up. Last time I was here, everyone wrote Kanye sucks in the urinals and was pissing all over them. And he's like, and I'm here to tell you, like, F off, and I'm back, and I'm going to put on the best show. And literally, like, the crowd was, like, into it, like, jumping around. We were, like, at the front. It was so much fun. And then the crowd just, like, settled. And then he ranted for, like, 20 minutes. And then this song would start up again. And he played 2 minutes of the song. And then he'd go, hold up. I said I never play Bonnaroo again, and I'm back, and I'm proving all you guys wrong. And we're like, and then literally the crowds
calm
just started like drifting. Yeah, it was, and it was during his phase where he's doing it again, but he was wearing like the full face covering,
Yeah.
and his set was just red and white, and then his outfit, and they had the same thing as Frank Ocean, like following him around with the camera, and it was just his silhouette, like 25 feet or whatever it was, like in like pixelated like form. It had potential to be like a really cool show, and he just like and so for years after that it was always just hold up, oh, where the press at, that's what he just kept saying. And we're like, what is this guy talking about?
Dude,
But-
relax. We all think you're the best producer of all time, so like you can just calm
Yeah.
down. Like,
Yeah.
Down, yeah. And I remember it just was like, you felt like it was so weird. That was like the most awkward show I've ever been to. The worst show I ever listened to was the band Jet came out, and I was so excited. I used to be a huge Jet fan. Freaking love Jet's. Jet's first album was so good. It's a bunch of
was
like,
good.
Their
Yeah,
third album's
their
pretty
first-
good too.
I tried, man. I can't do it. But
I
they
never
came
really
out.
got the hype.
No, oh man, their first album is fun. Like,
Yeah, it is.
there's some good song. Timothy is a good song. Anyway, they came out just plastered. Like
Oh.
they couldn't even. I remember the lead singer couldn't even pick up his guitar. He took him like 3 times to pick up his
man.
guitar, and it was for one of the last Edge Fests. And I remember so
not
excited.
good.
Waited the whole day. They were headlining, and they couldn't even play. And I remember just being like, "I'm done." I think I went home and threw the CD in the garbage. I was just like, I'm over
Those
it.
guys sold out, man.
Yeah, those guys suck. Yeah. I'm only going to listen to Wolfmother from now on.
Nice.
Yeah. Tom, how about you?
I was just racking my brain while you guys were talking. Honestly, I can't think of a gig where I left disappointed.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think I've had a bad, like, maybe where I've thought, you
Every
know, this could have
Radiohead
been a
concert?
bit better or something like that. But hey,
Not repeating it. Never mind.
I heard it.
yeah, no, I can't think of a gig where that I would classify as the worst gig I've ever been to.
What about when we went to see Wolfmother and the Killers? We left halfway through the Killers.
That's
I
fun.
think,
really?
I think we were both like,
We weren't into that. I don't think that was a bad gig. It was just that we weren't into it. Like, we had gone
Alright.
to see Wolfmother.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, Matt.
Okay.
Let's say that then.
Oh, wow. Way to fizzle out at the end here.
Wow, Tom's been blessed with perfect concerts. Okay, like,
Wow.
Yeah.
Robert,
Look,
who did you
that's on you guys for not bringing the vibe.
Hey, I was
what
into
could you ask for?
I was
like,
into
you know,
Jet.
like 50, 60,000 person music festival, like, and you're gonna come and like act like, oh, you have to restart the song because you made a mistake.
That
Like,
Kanye one in particular.
I didn't hear the mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody heard a mistake.
that's not
and
It's very strange.
I honestly thought it was like, this is going to be the greatest concert experience I've ever been to. That's where my mind was
That
at
sucks.
when it started.
I didn't write "fuck Kanye" inside the urinals of the porta potties.
Yeah, but
I did see it.
Here's an interesting one. He said people are writing "fuck Kanye" in the urinals, and then people are pissing on it.
Yeah,
Well, wouldn't that mean that they don't like the fact that someone wrote "fuck Kanye"?
Yeah, no kidding.
there maybe I don't know. You
You
know?
have your head a shake, Kanye. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really don't know what was going on with CeeLo Green that day. It was very, very strange because the guys actually got a lot of good music. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Man,
didn't get
everyone has bad days.
it's
Everyone
true.
has bad days.
Of all of those stories, I think the Jet one is the least excusable. Like, people have
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
to see you play, and you don't have the courtesy or respect for your fans to show up
Yeah, they
and
were-
be switched on to do a gig. Like, that's
Yeah.
poor.
Yeah, it was embarrassing. It was I was upset. It was. I remember Billy Talent and Alexis on Fire. I do believe played as well. And Alexis on Fire, and I'm not an Alexis on Fire fan. They killed it, and I was just like, and then Jet
They're
came
really
on
good
next, and
live.
it was, yeah, they are. They're like, and I was like, oh man, I'm so excited because the crowd was into it. Everyone was there, and they just couldn't pick up their guitars. But there you go. Everyone has bad days.
There you go.
Everyone gets drunk.
You know, Chris, I kind of want to touch on something you mentioned earlier. You got a really good point with Toronto crowds not bringing it for. I don't care what the act is.
Big
I
time.
find a lot of Toronto crowds, they don't show the bands the respect that they deserve sometimes. Like, they almost are just like, oh yeah, we're showing up because it's like something to do, or we could say we were here. It's not even important to them. You know what I mean? And I don't jive with that.
People socialize
do
at
the-
concerts here, and if
It drives me
pisses
crazy.
me off.
Yeah,
Like,
it pisses me off too.
People actually have their backs to the concert.
Like, in the
Talking to
crowd,
friends.
talking while
Yeah,
the
yeah,
band's
yeah.
playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's infuriating.
But not
Take
It's
even
like,
like,
why are you here then?
not even
And,
like,
like,
sometimes
there's-
it's like they're up front.
Yeah.
They're like,
Yeah.
they're like 3 rows in, and there's
And-
the worst is the arm cross people.
Yeah.
And then if you touch them, because you're jumping up and down, they look at you. They go,
And
Yeah.
there's honestly nothing worse playing in front of a crowd and having people not being engaged. It's like it's soul crushing.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
yeah,
there's not a worse feeling. And you know, I can't imagine what it's like to do that in front of 2,500, 10,000, 15,000, 25,000 people crowds, right? Like, that's just it's not fun. Like, that takes the fun out of doing live music.
I don't understand
sure.
the rationale behind that. Like, yeah, you're going to see, surely you're going to see music performed live.
The other thing that sucks about that is there's probably like 10 or 20 other people that didn't get the same opportunity to go to the show that want to be there and want to enjoy the live music.
Couldn't buy the tickets fast enough, and now the scalpers are selling for 5 times the price. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, all that jazz. All right,
Right. Okay, well, there you go, gents. That's our first ever bonus episode. You've been listening to Crate Expectations, the monthly pod where we chat about record collecting and music in general. Be sure to subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on so you can keep track of when our next episode drops. And if you want to join the conversation, you can follow us on Instagram at Crate Expectations Pod. Until next time, keep digging and spinning.
Oh man, I feel like, wow, it's like I come over, it's like I don't know what to expect. I gotta be honest, I come in, it's like a little like I'm trying to get my bearings, there's cartoons, your mom, and it's like you still got it.